Okay, so we are back. So this is where we left off. So the number of chickens is 76.8 divided by 15.23. And I wanted to show it in both ways, showing it as a fraction and then with long division. So because this is a short video to recap how to do division with decimals, we're not going to complete the long division. We're just going to talk about what do you do when you have decimals. So looking at it as a fraction, it's not fully simplified if I have a decimal over a decimal. So my goal is to be able to have a whole number or an integer over another whole number or integer. So thinking about scientific notation, and when I multiply by 10, I move the decimal once to the right. If I move this one to the right or multiply by 10, that does make the top a whole number. But on the bottom, if I multiply by 10, I only move it over once, so it's still 15 or 152.3. And remember, with equivalent fractions, whatever I multiply the top by, I have to multiply the bottom by. So because the bottom needs to be multiplied by 100, I have to multiply the top by 100 too. So essentially, my 76.8 has now become, so move it over twice, so 7, 6, 8, 0. Let's double check. So once, twice, yes. And on the bottom, 15, 2, 3, and we'll double check. 1, 2. Yep, we got it. So that's how it would be a simplified fraction. So when we're looking at it this way, it's the same thing. So top divided by the bottom. So 76.8 divided by 15.23. And you might have learned this trick that says whatever you're dividing by, you need this to be a whole number. So if I move the decimal place over twice, so I multiplied by 100, I also have to multiply what's being divided over twice. So 1, 2, this also got multiplied by 100. So you might have remembered this rule that I'm showing right here, but this is the reasoning behind it. So now my decimal place goes at the end, so 7680, which matches up with this, and then I bring my decimal place up. All right, so let's go to my other color, my red, because we were using that before. And we're going to use that rule also that I can put as many zeros as I want after the decimal. That doesn't change it. So let me rewrite what we're actually dividing by just to make it more clear. So 76.8 divided by 15.23 is the same thing as 7680. I know I'm not mathematically saying that correct. It's just easier to see the digits. Divided by 15.23. And then again, here's my decimal, move it up. And then as many zeros as I need. And then these match up. And then when we do long division, which we're not going to go over just because we're talking about decimals, just to make this short, I'm going to divide until I can equally, how do I say this? Until whatever I'm left with as a remainder is a factor. So if it's not a decimal, then essentially you end up with something like remainder blank, right? But when you're dividing with decimals, you should never get a remainder. At the end, you should end up with a remainder that can equally be divisible by 1,523. And I would not give you something this complicated on a test. I just wanted to show you how division works with decimals. So again, you can think about as a fraction, what do I need to multiply by in powers of 10 to move the decimal place over so that I don't have a decimal place anymore. Whatever I multiply the top by, I multiply the bottom by. If that works for you, great. Or you say whatever I'm dividing by, I'm going to move the decimal place over as many as I need to be able to have a whole number. And in the same respect, I'm going to move that decimal place over as many times as I did so that these two decimal place moved overness match up. Okay, and that's because looking at it as a fraction, my fractions are still equivalent, so I'm not changing the value. All right, last thing, just to make this short. Okay, so Riley eats 1.376 cups of food. Oh, we have 30 seconds, so we're going to go over this in the next video. See you soon.